What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today is Christmas Eve, so I thought I would review a beer that hopefully invokes the Christmas spirit, and that beer comes from Brouwerij St. Bernardus, and they are out of Belgium, and this is their St. Bernardus Christmas Ale, the 2021 release. So this is a Belgian quad that comes in at 9.8% alcohol by volume, 28 IBUs, and at the time of review, this can is just under 4 months old. So, full disclosure, I've had this beer numerous times, but every single time I've had this beer, it's been in either a 750 or 330 milliliter bottle. And then I saw cans of this this year, and I was like, St. Bernardus Christmas Ale in a can? Yes, please. So I had to grab this one. Now, my channel was on hiatus starting in late 2020, so I don't know if they released this one in cans in 2020, but I know they have released them here in 2021, and I had to grab this one because it's in a can. It's St. Bernardus Christmas Ale. We are celebrating Christmas here today. So, glass-wise, I don't have the St. Bernardus goblet, which disappoints me. I'll probably have to buy the holiday pack that has the goblet in it at some point. But I have the West Small Trappist glass. We're going to use this. Why? Because it's been a long time since I've used this beer, or this glass, and I don't even know if I've used this for a beer review ever. I may have. I don't remember, though. Anyway, let's crack open this can and get it in the glass. Now, the one other thing I wanted to mention is if anybody out there knows, I could have sworn that this one was brewed with spices, but I'm not positive. I did a quick Google search, about 5 or 10 minutes, and all I could find is that there's a couple people that said, yeah, this one's brewed with spices. But nowhere that I saw of any legitimate source said that this is brewed with spices. I always thought this was a Belgian quad, or they used to call it just an Abbey Ale, but on their website they say Belgian quad, and I thought it had spices in it. Maybe not. If somebody knows, let me know. But I was under the assumption that maybe just the spices come from the yeast phenols, I would imagine. Anyway, let's give this a pour. I just can't believe this isn't a freaking glass. This is crazy. It's crazy. I'm pouring this into the big Trappist glass, and it's in a can. I can't. Just can't. Anyway, that looks beautiful. That kind of looks like Dr. Pepper or something. It has this beautiful mahogany, ruby red, brown tinges. It's more like a ruby red down here, mahogany, and like a dirty mahogany around here. It just looks beautiful. Had about a half finger of this light tan, really spritzy looking head. It's going to be a lot of carbonation in here for sure. Yeah, it plays the role. Let's get a nose on this one. Oh yeah, it smells nice. So I haven't reviewed any St. Bernardus beers on the channel, I don't believe. So in 2022, I'm going to try to do a better job of reviewing German and Belgian beers, and I need to do the Abt 12, the Priorate, and maybe their Vic beer and a couple other ones, because those are some of the beers I got started in craft beer, 11, 12 years ago, so I need to review those properly at some point, and it's been a long time since I've had some of those beers too. So yeah, this has a very vinous, big grapey, red grapes. There's dried apricot, dried fruits, dried cherry, figs, things of that nature in the nose. A little bit of a molasses and confectionery, but maybe more of a caramelized sugar, a slight touch of a caramel. There's a little bit of spice, but it's more like a clovey, coriander, phenolic yeast thing, as opposed to actual spices in here. Getting a little bit of a black licorice too, an anise type of nose. Smells kind of like molasses cookies too. The molasses isn't that big, but there's a nice I want to say toasted brown bread base with those dried fruits, and then molasses on top. It just kind of almost has a fruit cake kind of quality, but I would say more of a cookie, a kind of a pastry-esque kind of nose, but it's not super sweet. It just has those flavors without an overbearing sweetness in it. There's elements of this beer that remind me of a cookie or a fruit cake, but it doesn't necessarily scream it from the rooftops, There's a little bit of vanilla. Yeah, I mean, so I've always enjoyed Abt 12 more than this one, but I've always enjoyed this one to some degree. And another thing, now I'm just thinking, I said 9.8%. I could have swore this used to be 10%. So it's 9.8%. I don't know if there's spices in here. I'd imagine it's still the same beer, but it's just, I don't know, it's all over the place. So anyway, it smells really good. I want to get into it. So cheers, everybody, and hopefully everyone has a fantastic Christmas Eve and Christmas. Happy holidays. It's really, really nice. Really nice. It's more spicy in the taste than it was on the nose, honestly. And it's very carbonated. So body on this one's like higher side of medium, lower side of full. Has a big half behind it. It's not, too big or too thick or anything, but I think it's appropriate for something that's almost approaching 10% or is 10%. The mouthfeel, very effervescent, very spritzy, tons of carbonation on the palate. It's dancing on the tongue. But all that carbonation through like the first 3/4 of the palate, on the back, super smooth going down. So really nice body and mouthfeel. The taste, right up front, a lightly toasted brown bread. And then after that, that's where molasses comes in, a touch of vanilla, some of that confectionery, sweeter, caramelized sugars, maybe caramel, touch of toffee. As it passes through, though, the fruits kind of pop. There's that vinous grape, like a darker grape. Like more of a, I said red grape in the nose, more like of a purple grape, like a really nice, slightly tart, but sweeter grape. Then that dried apricot, dried cherry for me mostly, maybe a touch of like a fig and a date, but more of like the dried cherry, dried apricot hits like middle of the palate. Then all that stuff comes to kind of a standstill and the spiciness hits, and it has this like slightly clove-esque, almost licorice type of vibe to it. Like both of like a red and black licorice, but leaning towards a black licorice. And that continues on the palate. I could maybe be convinced that there's maybe a touch of cinnamon or allspice or something in here, but I'm really not getting it. I'm stretching for those notes. It finishes semi to full-on dry, very mild bitterness, not a lot of bitterness to speak of in this one, but that dryness is almost full. So you get all that sweet, decadent, complex malt character at the front of the palate, but then that semi to almost full-on dry finish of the back of the palate just stops it in its tracks. This one's not too cloying to me. It has a pretty good balance from the sweetness to the dryness. I like that there's not a lot of bitterness. Beers like this don't typically have a lot of bitterness. The beauty about this one is that I do get a big warming into the chest, but on the palate, there is no astringent, sharp kind of alcohol blast. Maybe it's because I've been, drinking craft beers for so long and I'm used to bigger ABV beers. I think maybe somebody who drinks this for the first time and they're, accustomed to drinking like sub 5% beers, this would probably be a shock to your palate in terms of the alcohol. But I think if you're somebody who drinks craft beer or drinks, you're drinking 8 and 8.5% double IPAs or 10% imperial stouts, I don't think the alcohols should bother you too much. But there's definitely a warming into the chest and into the stomach. This is a really nice beer. Like I said, I don't think I like this one as much as App 12 or like Rochefort 10, some of the other like classic Belgian quads, but it's really nice. This one ages great. I don't know how this one's going to age, if it's going to age well in a can as much as like in a bottle where, you get a little bit of oxidation and kind of, it'll change in the bottle, but maybe I should go pick up a can or two of this and age it for a couple of years and just see how it goes, because what I'm getting right now is a really cohesive, well-rounded, complex, balanced, tasty Belgian quad. It's not amazing again, but I really, really do enjoy this one. So we are going to give the St. Bernardus Christmas Ale, the 2021 release from St. Bernardus, and give that a high 4 out of 5 and go 4.1 out of 5. I think that's a fair score for this. You know what? No, we're not. I'm actually going to go a little bit higher because I'm really digging this one. I'm actually going to give this a low 4.25 out of 5. I'm going to go 4.2 out of 5. I'm going to bump it up a 0.1. Why? I'm in the giving mood. It's Christmas Eve. It's one of these beers where, I sit here and I try to compare it to all the other, like when I rate stuff, I try to compare it to everything I rate as a whole. I don't do typically stylistically speaking, unless I am drinking a style that I don't really enjoy. I like Belgian quads a lot, so I'm not going to do that here, but 4.2 out of 5 I think is a really good score for this beer. I think there's a lot of people out there, if you don't like Belgian beers, you're probably not going to like this one, but I think this is one you could get behind trying. Like if you're trying to get into Belgian beers and you want something that might kind of surprise your palate, I think this one might be one to go for, honestly. I don't know. Anyway, price point on that, I believe 4 packs of that in my area were $18 a 4-pack, which it's a 9.8% imported Belgian quad. I would easily pay $4 to $4.50 for a can of this all day. It's quality through and through. And then availability, wherever you see St. Bernardus, you should see this one. You see it all over the U.S. We get St. Bernardus distro all over the place. So if you live in the U.S., you should definitely see this. If you're overseas in Europe, you definitely get this one. And I don't know if you'll get it in a can in Europe. If anybody in there that watches my channel, I know there's a lot of European viewers of the Beer Patrol. So if you have seen this in a can, let me know, because again, this is the first year I've seen it, and yeah, I had to try it, and I think it's really damn good in the can. So once again, if you know if they brew this one with spices, I would say based on the taste and the nose, if they do brew it with spices, it's very lightly spiced because it's not big, and I'm getting more of that, like I said, that clove and that licorice type of feeling, where I think it's more of just the phenols from the yeast. And same thing, you know, with all the fruit flavors is the yeast esters, but I don't think this is actually spiced, but it could be, and I'm just stupid, which it could be the case. So if anybody knows that, throw it in the comment section. If you've had this one before, throw it in the comment section. If you had it in a can, I definitely want to know. And probably a little bit of a longer review here, but it is Christmas Eve, and want to pay respects to one of the better Christmas ales, in my opinion. So thanks to everybody stopping by for another Beer Patrol review. Check back tomorrow for the special Christmas Day review. We have a really good one, and I can't wait to get in that one. So until then, cheers and Merry Christmas.